This is just me. So far, so it's just me. Well, everybody, this is Derek Ofadarumwa with the Medicine Shell. I teach Igbo spirituality, culture, and cosmology. And this is Ask Me Anything or Ask Me Almost Anything. This is the first time I've turned this on and it's just me. So that's a very bad sign. It's not a good thing. Do. I will be here as long as there are questions and topics you guys want to discuss. Once the topics and questions run out, I run out. If you are here, go ahead and type something in the chat so I can see who's all here. It's not giving me an accurate count. I hope it's not giving me an accurate count of who's all in the live. Do. Let's see. Who, if you're in the chat, type something so I can see who's here. There one. I hope my Lady Judah, Ndewo. How are you doing? All right. Once we get 10 people in here, I'll go ahead and begin. Lady Judah, is there any music you want to hear? Once we get 10 people in here, I'm going to go ahead and begin. Lady Judah, is there any music you want to hear since you're the first one to say something? Oh, yeah, it's Ndewo. Okay, so like I was saying earlier, I teach you both spirituality, cosmology, and ancestral thought here on the Medicine Show. If this is a topic you're interested in, hit the subscribe button. I hope you're already subscribed if you're here. I think everybody should have got a notification that we're going live. If you want to support the movement, the best way to do so is on patreon.com/the medicine show. Patrons have full access to my research library. So it's like over 300 books, documents. My guy's back and there. Whoa, Christian. Do. Yes, I was not here last week. I was going through it last week. I was going through some things last week. Not to make things sad, but my ex-girlfriend passed away, and it's awkward. It's awkward when you're married, but I thought I was done. Like I had gotten past the morning, and then I just kind of woke up and I wasn't. I was feeling it, so I just wanted to pull away from everything. But she had passed. I had gotten the news last month and so forth. So I'm feeling back to normal a little bit, but we'll see. I'm not rushing anything. Get the likes up. Creative forces in the house. All right, my people have woken up. Do. But anyways, outside of the sad stuff, what was I talking about? I don't know. I can't remember what I was talking about. Yeah, get on Patreon. Get on the Patreon. Patreon.com/the medicine show dance server. I appreciate it, man. It's all good. Yeah. Well, it's not. Yeah, it's all good in the sense that I accept it. But yeah, so when you spend your life, what hurts. Play what you would vibe to. All right, so I have been on a big jazz kick, which I didn't grow up being a jazz person. So I'm going to find something. This is what I've been playing. Anytime I'm studying or working on something, I always play Miles Davis. For some reason, it's very good for my brain. So I went and checked. I did some research into it, and it said that jazz is the best music for I can never say it right, norepinephrine, which is the brain chemical that is for keeping keeping an effort going. Like if you're in the middle of dopamine gets you going, and then what keeps you in the game is norepinephrine. So I didn't know why, but anytime I'm working on something, I always want to listen to jazz. So let me go ahead and play this. I don't know if can you guys hear that? This is Miles Davis, Flamenco Sketches. But yeah, so as I was saying though, get on Patreon. Otherwise, just hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button too. I see 5 of you guys are in here and only 3 have hit that like button. If once we get to 10 people, we'll go ahead and start the discussion. Udunando. I hope I didn't kill the vibe with that sad news, by the way. My father listens to jazz. Yes, Ademwa. Yeah. So I've listened to a lot of things that derive from jazz growing up, like Tribe Called Quest, all that stuff. Pete Rock, CL Smooth, like all jazz influenced hip hop music. And just recently, I got into jazz itself, and I'm stuck. I love it. I get it now, right? And it's interesting too because I've always said that jazz, if you want to understand our ancestors, you can study jazz and ogene music. Jazz and ogene music. If you want to understand what I'm talking about on this channel, study the way jazz is put together, study the way jazz is felt, and then you'll get it. It'll click. Um, Jazz is, it reminds me a lot of Ogene music, which is what we play at home because it's done the same way. And we understand, there's something in my hair. We understand at home that Ogene music is a key into creation, like a window into how creation works and so forth. So, Lady Judah, is there any artists that your dad listens to? Like any specific ones? Ndewo, Rude Mechanicals. Ndewo, no, Ndewo, Ndewo. Rude Mechanicals. That's somebody I know. Does your name start with a T? I mean, I know the full name, but I don't want to air you out. I know this is an alias. But yeah, I love some jazz. Udonanda. Udo, udo, udo. I hope you guys can hear me well, by the way, too. I hope the music's not overpowering. I'm not, okay, I'm not going to say your name. I always want to say you guys' name. Right off the bat, have you watched the movie Sinners? It just came in theaters. I am slated to watch Sinners this coming week. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I thought. Yeah. Yeah, Tyre, how you doing, man? I'm gonna be watching it this coming week. I might make a video about it based on what everybody's saying. It was completely off my radar. Then I started seeing people talk about it and what they were saying. I'm like, okay, this looks interesting. So, yeah, I'll check it out. I'll check it out sometime this week. My godfather was a jazz musician. Played with some greats. Whit Williams. Wow, that's dope. I do mind. I do mind. Can you talk a little bit more on that? How it's associated music creation? Absolutely. And in fact, Iman, you have 100%. You have gotten us to where we need to get to, and you 100% dropped your question right on time because we officially have 10 people in the chat. So I'll go ahead and do the honors, and we'll go ahead and begin. Okay. Okike Keru. Abịa ma dị n'eluigwe dị n'ala dị na mmadụ dị na mmụọ nna na-enye ndụ nna anyị niile ekekere ụwa nne dị n'eluigwe dị n'ala dị na mmadụ dị na mmụọ nne na-enye ndụ na-enye nke ọma dị n'ụwa ụmụ gị abịala ọwa ọchị ka ji na-ekele ụmụ ndị eke ndị orie ndị afọ na ndị nkwọ ndị mbụ na ndị egede ndị mmadụ na ndị mmụọ ọkwa ọjị ka ji na-ekele ụnụ a jikwara aka ọcha enyekwe ụnụ nke anyị ji aka agọta otu unu ji aka mmụọ enye nke unu ji aka agọta ejikwara m obiọma na-ekele ndị ọkpụ na ndị ichie nke dị na ndụ na nke nwụrụ anwụ ọwa obiọma ka anyị ji na-ekele unu niile ejikwara m obiọma na-ekele ụmụ eke orie afọ na nkwọ okwu taa na ị ga-enye anyị ndụ okwu taa na ị ga-enye anyị ụba okwu taa na ị ga-enye anyị nke Chineke kere ka anyị kọta n'aka ya otu a ka ọ ga-adị na eke na orie na afọ na nkwọ ise. All right, let's go ahead and begin. All right, so yeah, everybody's saying Sinners is crazy. So Sinners was 100% off my radar, and I just started getting all the feedback from it. So I'm like, okay, I need to go check this out. So I'm gonna go check it out this coming week. And then who knows, maybe I'll make a video, but we'll see. I'm not gonna make any promises, but perhaps I'll make a video about it based on whatever I see and so forth. Let me go back to, there was a really good question. Let me go ahead and start answering some questions. All right. Well, my father taught me Miles Davis also. Yes, all them. Cool. Right off the bat, if I watch Sinners, where's that question? There was a question about music. Can you talk a little bit more about that? How does it associate with music? Yes. So one of the names for the creator in Odinani is Ogene, right? And Ogene is also a form of music back home. Now, if you understand Ogene music and you hear Ogene music and you switch out the instruments in Ogene music with Western instruments, it becomes jazz. It's the same thing, right? Um, the way Ogene is played, and understand this, I think this is, of all my studies, this is probably top three most revealing insights that I have had the privilege of coming across, right? Maybe do a panel. Oh, okay. I'm like, yeah, maybe. I think that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. I'll keep it in mind. I'll keep it in mind. But understanding Ogene and understanding jazz and understanding how what role it plays in our ancestral form of thought is top three things that have really shifted my paradigm. And the reason for that is if you understand the way jazz is made, you'll understand the African thought system, spiritual system, right? Way of being, right? And that is this. The way Ogene is played is that you have the Ogene bells, which are two bells, right? It's two bells attached to each other, right? Ogene, those two bells represent chi, eke, right? They're also referred to as tankon based on the noises they make, tankon. So it's two bells, two identical bells attached to each other with one with like it's metal but an ete, right? And it's tankom, it's chineke, it's madonna mo, it's nwoke na or wine na nwoke, it's alanigwe, it's alfonogu. It's all of these dualities that creates the dualities that create every single thing in Odinani. These dualities that you see in every single place is created by those two things, right? And so what happens is the person holding the ogene will begin playing whatever they want to play, right? They'll play any pattern that they want to play. In fact, I'll play some ogene music for you guys in a minute. They'll begin playing anything they want to play. And then the next person over might have like a drum, right? And so they're vibing to the ogene, okay? And then they jump in and contribute what they want to jump in with, right? So I'm playing like maybe I'm playing like I'm a musician, so let me not even do that. I'm playing one pattern, you're feeling what I'm doing, you're feeling what I'm doing, then you jump in and you contribute yours, right? And the next person over with his instrument contributes his, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, until all of a sudden we have this piece that we've put together. Now, at all times, the ogene is controlling everything. If the ogene stops, everybody stops, or there's a shift in the music, right? If the ogene goes fast, everybody speeds up. If the ogene slows down, everybody quiets down, slows down, right? But we're all doing this based off of having a connection to each other that's not based on instruction, it's not based on command, it's not based on control, right? It is based off of the connection. We are now one. We are now one thing, right? And we are one thing by way of consent, right? Onye ekwe, chi ekwe, with one wills there, chi wills. And so if you understand that, right? Now take that understanding and put that everywhere: architecture, philosophy, spirituality, medicine, every single thing that happens in the African thought system functions in that pattern. And so if you can understand that pattern and respect that pattern, you will unlock a lot of what has been lost or suppressed or hidden from us. You see that like in the diaspora, you see that with a lot of the forms of music. Is one of the places where it's been well preserved is in music. And so you see this pattern in jazz where, you know, somebody starts with theirs and then I jump in with mine and this one jumps in and that one jumps in and all of a sudden we have this piece that's coming together. Of course, over time it's been homogenized and so forth. So now people are on some and one, two, three. Now you do this, you do that, you know, but the original essence of jazz, that was that. Even if you go into hip hop music, right? If you go into rap, if you go into like a cipher, nobody in the cipher is telling the other person what to say and what to do and so forth. But because you're feeling what I'm doing, you now want to jump in with what you've got and you're expressing a part of yourself. And you expressing part of yourself becomes a part, creates a new or adds something to the whole, right? And so all of these people freely expressing themselves create an order, create a symbiosis, right? A connection, a oneness, and so forth. And so we're very comfortable expressing this way, the ogene or jazz method of approaching life in music, And if we can apply it in other places or go back to applying it in other places, much of what we thought was lost is not lost at all, right? So, that's how the music plays. That's the role that the music plays. Professor, I'm late. Phoenix, and there, well, John, and there, well, good seeing you. Good seeing you. Let's see here. Let's see here. One video for. Okay, I don't speak Spanish, but I'm gonna try. One video for my, I think, gente. Does anybody know what gente is? Is that like a man? Is that a man or a person? One video for my gente para pedir el tiempo. I don't know gente and pedir, so that's as far as my Spanish goes. Somebody wants to translate that, that'd be great. Unless this fool's trolling, then otherwise we'll throw him in the trash. Where are we at? My godfather was a jazz musician. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Sinners on a whole different level, man. Trust me, I'm gonna go see it. Everybody's been bringing up Sinners to me, and so I'll go check it out. Yeah, but I'm kind of in a weird headspace right now, right? I'm kind of in a little bit of a weird headspace because I had something happen last month. Um, is there an Igbo concept of duality like Taoism? Absolutely. Every single thing is based on duality. Every single thing is based on duality. The ancestors say that ebe ihe kwadoro, ihe ọzọ kwadoro n'akụkụ ya, which means where something stands, something else stands next to it. Where something stands, something else stands next to it. For all of the phenomena in the universe, there is what is understood and what is not understood about it, what is seen and what is not seen about it, what is tangible and what is not tangible about it. And both of these dualities must face each other for them to come into existence or for them to be a whole, right? So we have Allah, which is earth, because we have Igwe, which is sky, right? With earth and sky face each other and make each other exist and that kind of thing. So there we absolutely do have an understanding of dualities. In fact, the ancestors say that Ainona Owa Bo, we are in the world of twos. We are in the world of twos, which is why the human or any life form manifests as a symmetrical two-sided thing, and then we procreate in twos and so on and so forth. So yeah, absolutely very similar concept of duality to Taoism. I actually have a hard time finding a difference between the way our ancestors say it and describe the duality and the way the Taoists describe the duality. There are some details where I'm not sure if the Taoists describe that we describe in the African context. For example, the duality. Okay, so let's say God, the creator, right, is a couple. It's a couple. It is a mother and a father, ekenachi, ekenachi. And at all times, ekenachi is feeding its consciousness comes from those two poles. Consciousness comes from ekenachi. So eke gives you a stream of consciousness, and this is known as ako. Chi gives you a stream of consciousness, and this is known as uche. And both of them interweaving and meeting at you as a receiver for this thing, makes you a conscious living being, right? A conscious and living being. But consciousness is coming from two places, Eke and Chi, and they're both, which comes in forms of Ako and Uche. Ako from Eke, Uche from Chi. Ako is worldly wisdom, the wisdom of the world, right? Because Eke is existence. It is physical existence. It is reality. It is everything that is real. Everything that's real. Everything that's a part of this plane of existence that we can easily access with the five senses, right? And we receive wisdom from this. There's a type of wisdom we receive from this. So us sharing with each other. This is ako, right? Akoko, talking, right? This is akko that we're exchanging with each other right now. You can read a book, you can experience nature. All those things is there's no difference between that type of wisdom and what in spirituality is called divine wisdom, right? Or divine revelation. It's all divine. It's all divine wisdom. It's just the mother gives it to you from the physical and from lived reality, and then the other one is uche, which comes from the other, let's call it the other realm, the other dimension, right? And it looks more like what we would call like prophecy, right? Those thoughts that have no worldly germination point. They didn't germinate from something immediately around you. It just came to you first from out of nowhere, or out of nowhere. But that's uche, coming from your chi, right? So both of those you are a receiver for both of those. That duality, the duality of consciousness, you're a receiver for both of those. You're like you're a river that they both flow through, and so in that sense, our ancestors don't see consciousness as something that exists within the person. Like, you are not the one. This thing is not what thinks for you. It's part of the apparatus, as well as your moi, that allows you to receive that flow, right? But we all share in that flow. We're all connected to each other from that flow. We all tap into the original source of that flow, which is known as Etu, the mind of creation. So yeah, duality, everything in Odinani is duality, right? Like I said, Ebobala ihe kwadoro, ihe ọzọ kwadoro n'akụkụ ya. So, Odinala. All right. What is the original name? Because I hear jazz is what white people called it. Naming forms of music is got to be some of the whitest. Peak European culture is naming forms of music, is genreization, let me call it, right? Because our people never have a name for the music. They always just, how do I put it? They always just do what they want to do at the time. They're always doing what they want to do at the time, what feels right at the time, what the crowd wants to hear at the time, right? And because all of these things evolve naturally and inspiration evolves naturally, it changes over time. So different segments of time in black music, the corporation will come and say, okay, this is jazz. Okay, this is R&B. Okay, this is this. But at one of the things that all these genres have in common is that the people who invented it never gave it a name. They're just making music, right? And we've seen it happen multiple times in our lifetime, over and over. There's this interview with Miles Davis where they're asking about jazz. He's like, jazz is what you guys called it. We're just making music. Like, you guys called it jazz, and once you name it, you kind of take something from it. And so he didn't see himself as a jazz musician. He saw himself as just a person who plays music, and then y'all keep putting names on the different music he makes, right? Even Afrobeats, the term Afrobeats is a glitch. That name is a glitch. It's not supposed to be Afro. It's not. It was never called Afrobeats. From what we're now calling Afrobeats, I guess, started in like the early '90s, but it was never called Afrobeats. It was just called music. I don't know. It's just what it was. I don't know, but it was never called Afrobeats. When it started getting that name was when Ice Prince, an artist in 2011, went to the UK, and they asked him, because they used to call it hip hop. They were calling it hip hop at a point. Then they called it reggae at a point, or raga at a point, and they were just calling all these different names. And in the UK in 2012, the radio guy called it Afrobeat, because because of Fella, because the only one he knew was Fella. So he's like, okay, this is the same thing. This is all Nigerian music is called Afrobeat. And so they put the name Afrobeat on it. That's why a bunch of Afrobeats artists like, I'm not an Afrobeats artist. People are like, oh yeah, he doesn't want to accept. He wants to distance himself from. No, none of these people think they're Afrobeats artists. None of them do, right? It's just what it's called for it to be categorized in marketing, right? Fine, call it Afrobeats, right? But it's just like young people making the music they want to make. I actually fear, because usually when the type of music gets when you give it a name, that's when it starts to die out. Because then it becomes petrified, it becomes a corpse, it becomes a stone figure, right? Where it's like, once you do something outside of that, all of a sudden you're not doing Afro beats anymore, right? Oh, you're not doing Afro beats anymore. Like, look at this thing we're calling hip hop, right? If we want to be technical, hip hop from the beginning to now has probably been about 8 different genres, right? But we've never really called them until recently. Oh, this is drill. Oh, this is I don't know, New York drill. Oh, this one is trap. This one is, if you can tell me the difference between all those things, then sure, or sonically, but whatever. This one is, though, that kind of came recent. In the beginning, even if you ask the original, the originators of hip hop, they'll tell you that we didn't name it hip hop. People called us hip hop because they were trying to make fun of us. Like, it was like, there you go, hipping and hopping, right? They call it b-boying, being a b-boy, right? So yeah, historically, our forms of music never really had names, right? So when you say the original name, because I heard jazz is what white people called it, yeah, that's something that's universal with black music, right? Universal with black music. It's just somebody else. It's just doing you're doing what you want to do, then somebody else comes and calls it a name, or people it just picks up a name, but the person doing it never the person doing it always thinks they were doing the last thing. The person doing it always thinks they were doing the last thing. So the original hip hop people probably thought they were making for example, like in Nigeria, like Flavor, there's an artist named Flavor. He calls his music High Life. So he in his head he's making High Life, but somebody's in come and sees is radically different from the original High Life. So it's actually a different thing, and then give it a name. So that's normal. I'm glad you actually brought that up because I wanted to rant. It means gente means people. Yes, people. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Aprender means learn. Okay, so let me go back to that Spanish that person asked. A video for my people to learn a video for my people to learn I think tiempo, the time. Is tiempo the time or is it always? Tiempo. Tiempo sounds like time. A video for my people to learn the time. Ang, I see you're also going nuts down there, so I hope you're not wasting our time. But I appreciate you sharing your language and giving me a chance to learn. Little reminder that Jesus loves and died for you. Okay, the honor, Jesus loves and died for me. You should ask Jesus to join patreon.com/the medicine shell to support the movement. Patrons have full access to my research library. So imagine you and Jesus, you're in the research library. You can read over 300 different articles, books, documents, all organized by topic. I was just speaking to somebody yesterday. He became a DBA. He wants to read a little bit more. We have an entire library just for DBA work and medicines and different topics like that. Water work, Nemiri, all the different Abara, Nemiri, Ekwensu, Amadioha, Arobinaku, all of them have their own folders. So if you and Jesus are interested, join at patreon.com/the medicine shell. Y'all talking about Sinners? Nice. I haven't seen Sinners yet. No spoilers. No spoilers. I will check it out. No spoilers. I will check it out. I hope you feel better. I'm in a foggy headspace, but I'm feeling good enough to go live, which I wasn't last week. So I'll do my. Have you studied Igbo culture, spirituality, retention in Jamaica? Yes, I have. And in fact, in the library, I have a folder called the diaspora folder, and it's got several documents on like Igbo culture in like Jamaica, Trinidad, Jamaica, all different places in the Caribbean, as well as here in America, in the U.S. But yeah, I know it extensively. I know that Igbo people were targeted a lot for enslavement in Jamaica. So a lot of the people in Jamaica are Igbo descent. Um, a lot of what's interesting is a lot of Jamaican people can also tell you that too. Like, oh, my great great grandmother was Igbo, my great great grandfather was Igbo. They kept track of it. And then on top of that, you see it in a lot of the traditions that you guys call obe, which I'm not sure where the word obe comes from, but it sounds like obi to me. But it could be something else. It could be. I know that the Jamaica is basically Akan and Igbo primarily. Akan and Igbo, right? The United States is primarily Igbo, and then like damn near everybody else, but a huge Igbo contingent. So Igbo, Senegambia, Congo area, and then of course Yoruba and the Benin, Togo, and that kind of thing. But yeah. I think the U.S. is probably the most mixed up when it comes to different African groups. Peace fam, can't hang. Okay, Aaron, good seeing you. Thank you for being here. This one is a little bit later, so I don't blame you. Question: is there a relationship between Ogwu, Agwu, and Arobinago? I was watching your video on all of them and seen very linked together. John, yeah, very good question. The answer is 100% yes. There is a link between all of them. Ogwu says medicine in Igbo. Ogwu is medicine in Igbo, right? Ogwu is one of the names of Arobinago. When you say Ogwu, you're saying Arobinago. When you're saying Arobinago, you're saying Ogwu. So they're all one name, right? It's all one person, just two different names. I go by Derek, I go by Duru, right? The same person, that kind of thing. And then they are all Agu. In fact, they are specifically the female head of Agu. For those who don't know, Agu is a spirit with two heads, male and a female, right? And they two heads. The female head is Arubinago. Arubinago. Arubin. Some people call Akobinago. Akobinago, right? That feminine consciousness from the earth, from the mother, from Eke, from the universe, right? Which lives in Ako. Akobinago, right? And then the male head is Okeago. Okeago, right? Some people will say it's Amadioha, some people will say it's Ekwensu, just whatever you put in that place. They're all interchangeable. But yeah, the link you're seeing is 100% connected. So Ogu and Arobinagu are half of Agu, are half of Agu. They are the worldly power, the earthen power, the scientific power, the tangible power, the empirical power that comes with full consciousness, right? So, John, the link you're seeing 100% makes sense. Can you ban me? I'm curious, your father. Hold on. Okay. You look like Francis. I'll take it. Francis is a very handsome man, but we're from similar parts of Africa. We're not far from each other, right? Similar cultures as well. Where are we at? You look so Nigerian. I'm vehemently Nigerian. Odinala. Thank Homelander for the addiction. Doesn't make any sense. The stream is getting flooded with a lot of bots all of a sudden. It happens. It's all good. It's YouTube counted as engagement, so it's. I'm not tripping. Just as long as they're not being the three strikes, right? So your mind is an engine to receive. Yes, your mind is like a receiver, right? But it's more than your mind that receives. Your body receives, your spirit or moi, which is your aura, your light around you. All of it receives, right? Your mind, of course, plays probably the primary role in making it all happen. But you receive it from multiple different places, right? The genres were made by us, and they kicked us out. Yeah, we make the genres. I thought Fela coined the phrase. Yes, Fela coined the phrase Afrobeats, but the modern Afrobeats has nothing to do with Fela. It's no connection whatsoever. And then the European guy, the British guy, knew Fela, so he's like, okay, this is Afrobeats. You understand? But there's no connection whatsoever at all. Zero. People try to retroactively, and this is why I don't like bad terminology. People try to retroactively link it to Fela. Zero fucking link. Fella specifically said that you should not play his music. You should not make happy Afrobeats music. You should not make celebratory Afrobeats music. You should not make Afrobeats music about love and all these things, because he made Afrobeats specifically to address the issues in society. So you can't start doing. He used the Beatles as an example. He said, "You can't. You love me? Yeah, yeah, yeah." He said, "You don't do that shit with my music." Afrobeats, what we're now calling Afrobeats, is exclusively for a good time. It is exclusive, is specifically hangout party music. It is the polar opposite philosophically. It just has no connection. What? So there's nothing. There's no connection. Fela's Afrobeats is still being played. There are still artists that do Fela's Afrobeats, like all of his, like not all of his, but a couple of his sons. Femi and Shen, they both do Afrobeats. Lebaja kind of mixes in Afro beats with his music, but he does more juju music. But there's still people doing Afrobeat. That genre is still alive, right? But now if you type Afro beats, it's gonna be a bunch of like, whine it music, and that's what that he specifically said. If you're doing that, you're not doing his music. But yeah, people will retroactively try to link it to Fela because of that UK person throwing that term out there. Bad terminology does a lot of damage. So yeah. Afrobeat is 5 beat foundation. This is very interesting. The discussion about genres. After seeing Centers, my friend and I argued profusely about whether it was horror. She insisted that it wasn't, but it was something else. Centers. You mean is that when you say centers? Do you mean sinners? Drill is very new. I learned about that in Chicago youth. They call Chicago Chirac Drillinois, the drill sound of an automatic weapon. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but again, the kids making drill didn't call it drill. I think the term drill was put on them, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, right? Because I think they thought they were just making like gangster music, right? Like I'm making in their head, I'm making 50 Cent music, right? Or whatever the gang when they were growing up, which was probably 50 Cent, and that kind of thing. And then it's I don't know, it gets classified as a different thing, which whatever, that's fine. But I mean, I'm not against genres. It's necessary for organization, I guess. If you like a sound, it makes it easier to find that sound in general. But just know that the source of the creativity tends not to name the music. It just lets it out, right? It just makes it. And everybody always thinks they were making the last thing, right? Like Nigerian Afro beats, in our head, we were making like pop music, and we're making like popular music. You understand? So like, you'll go back to like in the early to like 2004. There was Downfall Drivers. There's this a group called I'm calling them Downfall Drivers. Their big hit was Downfall Driver, and they had their big hit Downfall Driver, and then they had the hip hop version, and then they had the reggae version, and then they had the regular version, and they weren't really like, oh, we're a this artist, or they didn't have a name for them. It was just the song, and then they had the hip hop version, which had a more hip hop beat, and then the reggae version. So in their head, they're just making different kinds of music and that kind of thing. Back at that time, you can buy most artists would have like a different genre per song. You know what I mean? Like this is a hip hop, this is that, this is that, this is that, and that kind of thing, and then mix them together, and that's kind of what became what it became. So, but that's universal. You see that with rap too. Like I remember growing up with rap, you'd listen to an album and one song was more R&B leaning, another song was more like gospely sounding, another one was probably more funk or disco influenced and that kind of thing. So it's natural. It's natural. I don't know if you guys froze or everybody is out of topics or what. I thought Fela coined the phrase. Okay, I already answered that. Somebody say something so I know if you guys are still here. Interesting discussion about genres after seeing centers. I think that's Amaka. Amaka, when you say centers, do you mean sinners? Because one of the things I've noticed, there's this black kind of surrealist horror kind of genre that's emerged, and I love it. I think it's fire. Atlanta goes into it a little bit, like the show Atlanta. Of course, a lot of Jordan Peele stuff. It's like surreal, but like it's not surreal. You know what I mean? Right? Get Out, all those kind of movies. It's not. It's surreal. It's surreal, but it's like this can really happen, kind of thing. Or it's like alluding to something that we know is just right there. It's already happening. So. Guys, I don't know if I'm frozen or what. You guys let me know if I'm frozen. Like all the comments just stopped. Uh-oh. Let me know if I'm frozen, y'all. Do I need to, is there a refresh? I don't want to close out, but I feel like there's no way. Here, let me turn off my, this hell has to.